that it'll change the complexion of the series, but it changed the complexion of this game, specifically in that fourth quarter when Ant-Man is getting off, scoring 16 of his 30-plus on the evening. What did you see from Ant-Man in that moment?
Well, I just saw a guy that wasn't waiting on anybody. We saw Anthony Edwards, who we thought he is, right? A special individual, and that's what he get paid the big bucks for, to take over games like this and protect his crib.
Today is Mother's Day, and so I just wanted to win for my mom, and it was just that simple.
Was she on your mind all day today? Or
for sure, yeah. I couldn't lose this game for her, for sure.
Nobody gave Minnesota a chance coming in. People thought the Timberwolves would fall apart the moment things got rough, especially after that scary injury news about Ant-Man. But this team just keeps doing the impossible. Ant came back way faster than anyone expected, the roster is barely held together, and they still walked into San Antonio and stole Game 1 like it was the plan all along.
I know you've seen Ant keep these before, but with almost a season on the line here and to see him come through like that, just how do you sum up what he gave you?
It was awesome. He was special. This is what he loves. This is what he lives for. Not just big games, but big moments.
Mike Conley is out there at 38 years old running the whole offense. Terrence Shannon Jr. gets thrown into a massive role, and somehow the Wolves still find a way to get it done. This team has a weird mix of luck and real confidence because nothing about that setup should have worked. Here's the wild part. Minnesota wasn't even in control for most of the night. San Antonio looked comfortable early. Wemby was shutting down everything near the rim. The energy in that building felt like the Spurs were about to take over completely. Every time the Wolves tried to attack the paint, it blew up in their faces. Wemby was flying around blocking everything, killing possessions before they could even get started. In just the first half, he was stacking blocks at a crazy rate, making Minnesota nervous every time they got near the basket. Then Chris Finch and the coaching staff made the right move at the right time. That adjustment flipped the whole game. Instead of letting Wemby sit in the paint and erase everything, the Wolves started pulling him into spots where he had to react instead of dominate. Suddenly, San Antonio's defense didn't look so scary anymore, and Minnesota started finding open looks they couldn't get before. That's what decides playoff games. Talent matters, but the team that adjusts faster usually wins. In this one, the Wolves solved the puzzle before the Spurs could do anything about it.
Jada, this VC, can you tell us what will it take for you guys to win Game 5?
Stay together. How this same as this game, like we was down. We go through adversity. It don't matter like when the time of the game is that we're going through it, just staying together, staying confident. And whoever's night it is, if like tonight it's Ant's night, we're going to feed the high hand. And it don't matter. It's the playoffs. Whoever does good, if you do bad, suck it up, and you just got to move to the next one, just win the game.
This next play is where everything changed. Gobert sets a screen and rolls right into Wemby's path, creating traffic and forcing him to deal with bodies instead of flying freely around the paint. That one small tweak started changing the whole rhythm of San Antonio's defense. At first, the timing between Julius Randle and Gobert looked completely off. They almost gave the ball away because both guys seemed confused about where the screen was supposed to go. But even through the messy execution, Minnesota accidentally found something that kept working for them all game long. Instead of going straight at Wemby every possession, they started treating him like a rebounder that needed to be sealed away first. Whenever a Wolves guard attacked the paint, someone's job was to put a body on Wemby and push him out of the play before he could explode into a block. Watch Julius Randle on these possessions. It almost looks like he's backing someone down in the post, but that's not really the point. He's basically turning himself into a wall just to keep Wemby busy for a second or two. That tiny delay opened up huge lanes for Ant and the other guards. Instead of letting Wemby roam the paint freely, the Wolves kept him stuck wrestling with bodies. It wasn't pretty, but it completely broke the rhythm of San Antonio's defense. And honestly, on one of those late possessions, it could have easily been called a foul. Julius drives toward the lane, Gobert slides over like he's setting a screen, and then Julius just stays stuck to Wemby almost the whole way through. The refs let it go because playoff basketball gets physical late in big moments like that. Minnesota took full advantage of every inch the officials allowed. But even with all those adjustments, you're never fully stopping Wemby. He's too long, too fast, and recovers quicker than anyone his size should. He's still going to make jaw-dropping defensive plays no matter what you throw at him. That's exactly why Naz Reid is such a huge piece of this matchup. Having a big man who can shoot from the outside changes everything for Minnesota. On this play, Jaden McDaniels drives hard into the paint and pulls Wemby toward him. The second Wemby commits, Naz Reid is standing completely wide open on the perimeter. And with Reid shooting nearly 40% from three, that kind of space is a real problem every single time. Then San Antonio fired back with an adjustment of their own. It became a full-on chess match between both coaching staffs. San Antonio moved Wemby onto Terrence Shannon Jr., mainly because Shannon hasn't been shooting the ball well from outside during these playoffs. That let Wemby stay near the paint without worrying about getting punished from deep. Once that switch happened, Minnesota immediately looked for a counter. The Spurs were treating Anthony Edwards like the most dangerous man on the floor, refusing to leave him open at all. Defenders stayed glued to Ant no matter what, which left the floor wide open for Terrence Shannon Jr. to attack downhill. The second he got a step on his man, the lane was completely clear because the Spurs were so locked in on Ant. Shannon kept taking advantage of that space, getting clean drives without Wemby standing right in his way. Minnesota also kept finding ways to drag Wemby farther from the basket. One of the smartest moves was running Ant off an Iverson screen. San Antonio still refused to send help because they were terrified of giving Edwards an open look. Wemby stayed disciplined and didn't bite on the action, which honestly showed how patient he is on defense. But even then, the Wolves still found an opening. Stephon Castle tried to front Julius Randle inside, and during all the confusion, Randle basically became a moving screen for his own teammate. That split-second collision broke the coverage and led to an easy bucket at the rim. The Wolves also added more perimeter screening actions, specifically designed to pull Wemby away from the basket. Flare screens became a big part of the plan, especially with Naz Reid involved. Reid shooting forces defenders to respect him, so when Wemby has to step out toward the three-point line, the paint suddenly opens up big time. That's a game changer for Minnesota's guards, because now they can attack without a 7-foot wall standing under the basket. Big credit has to go to Finch for seeing all of this in real time and making the right calls. Once the Wolves stopped attacking in predictable ways, the whole game shifted. But beyond the strategy, the most shocking part of the night was Anthony Edwards even being on the floor. Just a week ago, his knee looked completely twisted up, and people were seriously questioning if he'd play anytime soon. Fast forward to this game, and he's out there moving like nothing ever happened. He didn't just show up either. He was Minnesota's best offensive player for big stretches of the game. He was creating shots, reading the defense, and knocking down tough buckets. On one possession, San Antonio completely mixed up the coverage, and Ant stopped on a dime and drilled a deep three right in their faces. Even not at full strength, he still finished with 18 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block in just 25 minutes. What makes it even more impressive is how hard the Spurs were working to keep the ball out of his hands. They ran full denial every time he moved on the perimeter. San Antonio absolutely did not want Ant getting comfortable with the ball late in a tight game. And despite playing on a knee that still didn't look right, he stayed patient instead of forcing bad shots. That's real growth. Earlier in his career, he probably tries to challenge Wemby every single time. In this game, he picked his spot smarter. Whenever he saw Wemby waiting near the rim, he made the extra pass instead. Julius Randle kept benefiting from those kickouts. Ant would drive, collapse the defense, spot Wemby lurking, and quickly kick it out to Randle for open threes. Those reads were huge because they punished San Antonio for loading up the paint. Randle knocked down big shots off those kickouts and kept Minnesota's offense alive when things slowed down. Then there were moments where Ant just looked impossible to guard. He hit a smooth sidestep after Julian Champagny closed out too fast, slipping right past the defense before they could recover. Minnesota kept using perimeter actions to drag Wemby away from the basket, and once that happened, the Spurs suddenly had Harrison Barnes trying to guard Anthony Edwards in space. That's a matchup Minnesota will take every single time. Once Ant has room to attack downhill, the defense is in serious trouble. One of the coldest moments all night was Ant going straight at Wemby one-on-one and talking the whole way down the floor after scoring. That's exactly the kind of energy fans love. He doesn't back down from big matchups, even when he's clearly not fully healthy. His explosiveness still isn't all the way back, and realistically, Minnesota probably won't get peak Ant during the series with the knee still bothering him. In the regular season, some of those drives would have ended with violent dunks. In this game, you could actually see him adjust in midair to protect that leg. But even without his full athleticism, Ant still found ways to control the game. Instead of forcing highlight plays every time, he slowed down, read the defense, and attacked smarter. He still pressured the rim enough to collapse defenders and open up shots for everyone around him. If he keeps producing at this level while managing the injury, it raises the entire ceiling for this Wolves run. Jaden McDaniels deserves a ton of credit because his offensive game looks way more polished now. For years, people only talked about his defense and his length, but this season, he's added real confidence as a scorer. At 6'10", with that huge wingspan, defenders already struggle contesting his shot, and now he's using that size way more aggressively in the mid-range. On one possession, he gives Devin Vassell a quick shot fake, rises up calmly, and drills the jumper right over him. There's almost nothing defenders can do when he gets comfortable in those spots. Then he started mixing in even tougher moves, attacking the baseline, getting cut off, spinning away from the pressure, and still finishing clean over a smaller defender. McDaniels finished with 16 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 defensive plays. But the bigger story was how confident he looked creating his own offense. Even in pick-and-roll situations, he stayed in control. Coming off a Gobert screen, he attacked the big defender, used a quick fake to make him fly by, and finished easily in the paint. Those are advanced reads that make Minnesota way harder to stop now. And then came the cleanest bucket of the entire night. McDaniels drives in, sees Wemby standing there with those long arms stretched out, and still floats the ball perfectly over him. That's not easy at all against someone who covers that much space. Most players panic and force a bad shot or kick it back out. McDaniels stayed calm, adjusted in the air, and finished with perfect touch right over elite rim protection. That play alone showed just how much confidence the Wolves had built by the second half.
Now, let's talk Julius Randle, because his role gets even bigger whenever Ant is limited or sitting on the bench. When Ant is playing, Randle can settle into that second scorer role and attack a defense that's already tilted towards stopping Edwards. But when Ant sits, the offense runs straight through Julius. That's a completely different kind of pressure. Even if his shooting wasn't super efficient, he still controlled a huge chunk of Minnesota's offense through his physicality and decision-making. He finished with 21 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal while constantly forcing San Antonio's defense into tough rotations. It wasn't just the scoring either. Randle did a great job reading where the Spurs were overcommitting. On multiple possessions, San Antonio collapsed hard into the paint to crowd Gobert and stop the interior. Julius kept recognizing those rotations and hitting open teammates before the defense could recover. One sequence showed it perfectly. Keldon Johnson slides down early to box out Gobert, and Randle instantly spots the weak side opening. Instead of forcing a tough shot, he throws the pass over the top to Jalen Clark, who suddenly has space to attack. The closeouts come flying in way too aggressive, and that gives Clark an easy downhill lane. Wemby can't fully cover both options at once, and Minnesota started exploiting those split-second decisions all game. San Antonio still doesn't have a great defensive matchup for Randle physically. Keldon Johnson battles hard, but giving up size to Julius over and over is exhausting. Randle is around 6'9", built like a power forward, and can still handle the ball comfortably in isolation. Even on possessions where the Spurs initially covered him well, he still created tough mid-range shots just through sheer strength and touch. Once Minnesota started running those middle isolations for him, the Spurs had no clean answer without sending double teams. When the game got tight late, the Wolves made it very clear who they trusted. Everything slowed down and turned into Julius Randle isolations. He's a security blanket for this team right now. They trust him to make the right read every single time. If defenders collapse, he passes. If they stay home on shooters, he's strong enough to bully his way to a tough bucket. And one of his shots late in the game was just ridiculous. The defense actually forced him into a tough look, and he still faded away and dropped it right through the net. A shot like that completely kills the other team's momentum because there's nothing you can do about it. Then there's Terrence Shannon Jr., who brought nonstop energy the whole night. Even if his shooting wasn't perfect, his impact was way bigger than his numbers show. The second he gets going in transition, the whole game speeds up. Defenders start panicking because he attacks the rim with real force and doesn't hesitate when he sees an opening. What stood out most was that he wasn't reckless about it. Earlier in the season, he probably would have challenged Wemby every single time no matter what. In this game, he was making smarter reads. On one fast break, he sees Wemby waiting at the rim and swings it over to Mike Conley instead of forcing a bad shot. That kind of decision-making is huge in the playoffs. He also brought toughness on defense, taking a charge in the second half that completely shifted the energy for Minnesota. Plays like that are massive momentum boosters in physical playoff games. Shannon finished with 16 points, 5 rebounds, and an assist in 35 hard minutes. Yeah, Wemby blocked him a couple times at the rim, but Shannon never stopped attacking on the very next possession. That fearless mindset is exactly what makes him dangerous. The biggest problem for San Antonio is his speed. Once he gets downhill, defenders can't keep him out of the paint without fouling. He constantly attacked the rim, absorbed contact, and earned free throw trips all night because of how aggressive he stayed. Going 6 for 8 at the line was important production for Minnesota. After the game, Shannon made things even more entertaining with his comments about Wemby. He basically sent a warning that he's eventually going to finish a dunk on him no matter how many shots get blocked first. His mindset was simple.
Wemby would have to stop every single drive perfectly because Shannon has no plans to stop attacking. Naz Reid keeps proving why he's one of Minnesota's most valuable pieces. Having a player around 6'9", built strong, who can dribble, pass, and shoot from anywhere is a massive advantage in today's NBA, especially now that size and physicality are back in style. Players like Naz are nearly impossible to guard. He can play like a true big near the rim on one possession and handle the ball like a wing on the next. That versatility constantly forces defenses into tough spots. A couple of his plays in this game made it perfectly clear why he changes everything for the Wolves offensively.